Hello, and welcome to this presentation about the infected blood inquiry. My name is Monica Oluwole, and I'm one of the legal managers. Some of you may have heard about the inquiry through the UK Thalassemia Society newsletter, perhaps online, through the media, or maybe you've given a written statement or evidence in oral form to the inquiry. For those who haven't heard about us, I will start by providing a brief update. I will then move on to explaining a bit more about how you can take part. And then I will finish by highlighting new information about compensation within England. To begin, the Infected Blood Inquiry was set up in 2018 to investigate why people across the UK received infected blood and blood products, predominantly in the 1970s and 80s, but this expands to more recent times. Public inquiries essentially do two things. Firstly, they established what happened and why, and secondly, they make recommendations to reduce the likelihood of similar events occurring in the future. Both of these elements are important: to have an authoritative account of what happened and to understand the steps that the UK needs to take to avoid systemic failings in the future. First of all, with what happened and why, this is a fundamental question for any public inquiry. But for this inquiry, it's important to understand what led to men, women and children receiving infected blood and blood products. In particular, since 1970 until effective heat treatment was available in the second half of the 1980s. We'll consider what was or ought to have been known about the risks, what warnings were given about the risks, and to what extent could the supply of infected blood and blood products have been avoided or stopped earlier, and if so, how. Secondly, it is important for the inquiry to consider the impact on people infected and affected in all aspects. This includes mental, physical, social, work-related, financial and stigma. We started by hearing oral evidence from people infected and affected in 2019, and we heard just how far the ripple effects of the impact have spread. We have received fewer statements so far from those within the thalassemia communities. However, we are grateful for the involvement of the UK Thalassemia Society, for their continued efforts in encouraging people to share their experiences, and that is exactly why I'm here today. It is important for us to capture those experiences, particularly from those within the thalassemia communities. And there are two ways in which you can take part. It is important for me to state that in both of these ways, an individual experience and with a group experience, anonymity is available. Firstly, you can provide a written statement to the inquiry. If you have been infected or someone close to you has, you're able to provide a written statement by having a meeting with an investigator and a paralegal. They will talk with you, ask you questions, understand a bit more about your experiences, and they will draft this into a form of written statement. You are able to edit this and be in close communication with those people. With these meetings, a strict COVID assessment is done, and it is possible to do it in the best way and environment for all those parties involved. Secondly, another way of giving evidence to the inquiry is through an intermediary. These are trained professionals. Some are qualified social workers with years of experiences, and they aim to gather a group experience in the context of the infected blood inquiry. In this case, your story may be told, but from that of a group perspective. I will now move on to consider new information regarding compensation in England. On the 25th of March 2021, the government announced a change to the 4 financial schemes. In particular, the aim to bring these all into greater parity or equality. This demonstrates a commitment to ensuring a comprehensive framework, and as part of doing that, the appointment of an independent reviewer to look at all options for ensuring a comprehensive framework. If you're eligible for financial support, please look at the devolved compensation schemes. In England, this is called the England Infected Blood Support Scheme. This is also similarly named in Scotland and Wales. Links for the compensation schemes will be provided in the information that follows this update today. As Sir Brian Langstaff, the chair of the inquiry, said in response to this government update regarding compensation, our work continues. And as part of that, it is important for us to continue to gain experiences, garner what people went through infected blood and in blood products. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. If you have any questions, I'm sure an opportunity will be made available, but if not, please do not hesitate to get in contact with the Infected Blood Inquiry. Thank you.